I did like the roll credits moment at the end where he like
Yeah.
says the full title and the dude's like, what? What was that?
Hi, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Del.
And this is the Black Catch-Up, where we're catching up on iconic black media we missed out on in our more conservative religious childhood.
Alright, so today we had Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Yes, quite a title!
Yes.
So, as always, I am DB, a parody of several U.S. films about being in the hood. For instance, Boys in the Hood, South Central, Menace to Society, Higher Learning, and Juice.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I guess we've seen a couple of those parody ones.
Yeah, also on Wikipedia, it also talks about Do the Right Thing, Poetic Justice, Friday, Above the Rim, Boys in the Hood, of course. I don't know, but for me, I was getting hints of like Baby Boy.
Yeah.
But just, yeah, there were quite a few, so
Yeah.
we had a lot to work with in terms of our point of reference.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
okay, so yeah, as
Be a
usual,
Menace.
starting off with things we liked about the movie.
Yes.
You want to kick this off?
Yeah, I'll start this one off. Lock Dog was hilarious, especially
yeah.
all of his guns. Just like the first introduction of him, he's like holding a gun and he's like, "What should I wear today? This gun with these shoes, or this gun with these shoes?" Just like all of his guns, and like even his little standoff in the convenience store with the rival gang, where they were like, "Oh, you're coming to us," and he like pulls out his gun, they pull out a bigger gun, and then he like opens up his truck and has like a missile. He was the perfect amount of ridiculous. I loved him.
Yeah, that and
so
then the dancing scene with him and I don't know who the girl was, where they're just like, all right, 1, 2, 3, let your guns down.
Yes!
They just leave it up.
Where he like just threatens her. He's like, "Give me your number. I told you I'll get this girl's number." And then he's like, "Give me your number." And then they like both have a gun pointed to each other, and it's like 1, 2, 3, drop your gun, and then they never drop it. They're like, "Guess we're just gonna have to dance like this because I'm not dropping my gun." It was hilarious. Oh, so funny.
Yeah. What did I say? Yeah, I said I thought there were just a lot of like fun visual gags throughout the movie. Like I don't know, one I liked was when the boy, like I think his name was Malik, goes to college. He's the guy from and then he gets shot. The guy has like a checklist of like boys trying to make it out of the hood.
They also
and
have I have that point too, because it was the man character, and it also happened after the Chinese convenience store or whatever.
Yeah,
they went in there and he shoots them, and then he's like ha 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 ha, and then pulls off his one glove and then X's out Lock Dog out on his list, but there's also like Tupac and OJ on his list, so that was really funny.
No, and I had to pause for the second one too, because he had like Ricky from Boys in the Hood on there.
Yeah,
like, he had some other names like that on there. So like they definitely paid attention to detail. I think I like the poor Monopoly game too. I thought that was like super funny too. Like they pick up the community chest and it's like, oh yeah, a cop beat you up and you got this much money, but then you didn't go to college, so like the lawyer fucked you over. You got $2.50, you know? Yeah. But there's just a lot of like funny like visual stuff like that.
There was also when they were in the police precinct, the cops have like an arcade game, the Rodney King experience, and it's just them beating up Rodney King on this game. Yeah. Like they had so many like little details that it was really good. Another thing I had was Dashiki. There was just one line about her that was Lock Dog says this line. He's like, "Man, Dashiki's been pregnant since she was born. What else is new?" That line just made me laugh so hard.
Yeah.
Everything that had to do with her was so funny because she was just such a caricature of like with her 7 kids by different baby daddies. But that line in particular of her being pregnant, and even after she and Ashtray had sex, and she was like, "I have something to tell you. I'm pregnant." He's like, "Already?" She's like, "I've done this 7 times. I think I know what I'm talking about."
Yeah.
She was a funny character too.
Yeah. I also like, speaking of funny characters, I also like the grandma. I thought she was just like really funny. How she was like just as down as everyone else, just as like in the streets, you know.
Yeah.
And there's like that like little scene where she like drives by like the other car, and they're like, they're like, you know, stay cool, player, you know.
Yeah.
I just thought she was like super funny too.
The other character I liked was the activist character. From
Preach.
Preach, I think that's him.
The guy like wearing the like head thing, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. From his first instance when he first comes in and he's like, we need to oppress ourselves instead of having the white man oppress us. Just like the little notes of hypocrisy they put into him. That was, I just liked his introduction scene mostly, where he was like, so you guys need to pay me $500, so I would like to go to Colombia and get the cocaine from there first, like, instead of having the white man come in and bring in drugs, because it, like, almost seemed like he was saying something, but he was funny.
Yeah. I like that, too. Overall, I just liked how it was, like, a parody of the Black Hood movies, and I also really liked the little, like, message guy that popped in every once in a while. Like, every once in a while, they, like, said something deep. They like that like message guy would pop in, and I like that because I feel like a lot of the Black Hood movies do kind of like force the message in there, but they don't like say it outright. So it was kind of fun that like they forced it and just said like message popped out, you know. Yeah. So I just thought that was like a fun thing to do in this like parody movie.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's everything I have. Yeah.
That's everything for me too.
Yeah. So on to the negatives. You can start this one.
Yeah, I guess for me, like, a lot of the humor was, like, very visual. And so, to me, it was, like, more goofy than funny a lot of times. And so I would have, like, preferred it to be slightly funnier, like, in terms of, like, I don't know, I guess, like, actual jokes rather than just, like, the visual gags. Like, I don't know, it just felt like one of those movies, like, you had to kind of be paying attention. And for, like, this kind of movie, I would have liked to be able to zone out a little more, if that makes sense. You know, it just seemed like a lot of the humor was so visual that you kind of had to watch it. And a lot of it came off more goofy than, like, funny. So, that was kind of, I guess, my big gripe with the movie.
Yeah. I guess another thing I had was some of the scenes didn't quite fit into the... I say narrative so loosely, just because parody movies don't really have a narrative. But I think some of the asides just didn't work. Like when Lockdog randomly became a crash test dummy after he applied for the bank. Yeah. I was like, that's never been in any Hood movie I've seen. What is this from? So that one didn't work as well for me. And there were a couple of other instances. But like, narrative is strong, but it didn't like... I guess it didn't fit into the typical like plot lines and plot beats that you get from a Hood movie, I guess. So I wish that... like you said, that they kind of kept those, they kind of did more funny, like, verbal jokes instead of just all the sight gags. And while that was a fun gag, it kind of just didn't fit.
Yeah. That was actually my second point, too. Like, I thought it seemed, like, kind of disjointed. Like you said, it seemed like, at least when I was, like, trying to think back on, like, the scenes I enjoyed and, like, things I liked, it was hard to, like, figure out when, or, like, think of when scenes happened in the movie. Just because, like, again, like, the crash dummy scene, that could have happened anywhere in the movie and changed nothing. You know, and, like, there were, like, just little scenes like that where it just seemed like, okay, like, what does this have to do with, like, anything else? Like, what led up to this? Like, how did this happen? Like, it just seemed like a lot of, like, just straight random scenes that, like, I guess they just did for the parody, but I think they could have, like, blended it in a little better.
Yeah, it very much operated as almost like a series of sketches that we were watching.
Yeah, it definitely.
And granted, a lot of them were funny, but it was like, I'm also watching a movie, too, so I wish they kind of, like, had a through plot line that they were focusing on whilst all this was happening. Kind of like, because they're the same people who do the Scream movies, and those have a stronger plot while still continuing to parody the movies. So, not Scream movies, sorry, Scary Movie. Yeah. Sorry, I watched Scream recently, but like Scary Movies is what the Wayans brothers do. But they follow a plot a little bit more on that one, so I wish they kind of like had a plot that was through, but just like added all the jokes and the beats and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I guess, did you have anything else?
The last thing I had was the homophobia. I didn't like that. Like, granted, I never liked homophobia, but I feel as though the way that it was different than the way the misogyny kind of went in was the misogyny kind of like was the character, I guess, in terms of making the women like the one archetypes, basically. Whereas the homophobia was kind of just like, these are the kind of jokes that they tell in these movies, so we're just gonna like copy and like do that. Whereas while the women didn't have like their own like agency and like story and stuff like that, that was the parody, I guess, is what I want to say.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I get that. Like, yeah, in terms of the homophobia, I didn't think it was like, I guess it was, again, like you said, like similar to what they do in these movies.
Yeah. So it was like a homophobic joke here, mostly with the prison stuff.
Okay,
anything that had to do with jail, most of that. But it wasn't like, I guess, because like with the women character, like I'm not dinging them for having the women like only be the caricature of she has like 1,000,010 babies or whatever, because that was the character that she is parodying. But like the homophobia is not a character you're parodying. That's just a bad joke that all the movies do that you shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
In my opinion, at least.
Those are definitely those jokes that like fall very flat. Like very flat.
You're just like, oh.
Honestly, they probably didn't hit that hard back then either.
No, they didn't.
Like, I don't know,
But yeah. So, if you're ready, I'm ready for ratings.
Yeah, I'm ready for ratings. Yeah, I guess I'll do this one.
Yeah.
I give this one a 2.5. Yeah, it was like funny. It had its moments, and like, again, like it was a very easy watch. But again, like, I think it being such like a visual thing that I have to pay attention to kind of drew it back for me. And then again, like it was also a lot more on that goofy side for me than the funny side for me.
Yeah.
And I would have preferred like a funnier movie. But it was definitely enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it had a lot of like funny characters and like very laugh out loud moments, but just as a movie from start to finish, it was just kind of okay.
Yeah.
This is kind of one of those ones where like I see why there's like memes of it and like gifs made of it, like because there are like very very good moments in this one, but yeah, just start to finish it was just mediocre though. Yeah. How about you?
I also gave this a 2.5. It just wasn't as funny as, I'm just gonna say Scary Movie, because that's the other one that they are like known for in terms of like the whole parody scope. So I think by the time they got to Scary Movie, they kind of were able to fine tune some of the greater details of like making a parody movie, which is, there is a through plot, but there's like little B stories that kind of like focus on different movies and stuff like that, and making the gags a little bit more audio instead of visual. I think they were able to kind of capture that a little bit more and more successfully in Scary Movie than they were in this movie. Not that this wasn't funny as well, but they definitely, you could tell this was like one of their first parody movies, and they definitely did a better job.
I'd agree. Scary Movie definitely felt like a more polished like parody, more complete.
Yeah. So, do you wish you saw this sooner?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll start this one. I said this was the perfect time to see this movie. I didn't need to see it sooner. Because the same thing that I said in Scary Movie and Scary Movie 2, I hadn't seen a lot of Scary Movie, so I didn't get all the references. But this, I got a lot more of the references than I would have if we hadn't been doing this TheBlackCatch-Up project or anything like that. So, the only reason I would have needed to see this sooner is if I had seen the reference movie sooner, which I have not. So, this was like a pretty good time to see it.
Yeah, I'd say exact same thing for same reasons. I guess maybe I would see it later, and try to knock off a few more movies off like the parody list. But honestly, I don't need to. Like, they're kind of all not the same, but
I
similar enough that I understood this. I understood the parody in this movie, But
it
let's
was
say like
fun
perfect
seeing
time.
The little Easter eggs, like when they were sitting on the porch like Friday. Definitely they stylized the house to look similar. Even the little nods to baby boys of all the guys like staying and still living with their moms, all that thing. Yeah. Like, so
and
it was
scene
nice.
with the little kids too. The scene with the little kids finding the dead body. I'm pretty sure that was in Boys in the Hood. Or
that was Boys in the Hood.
One of those, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Boys in the Hood.
I think so too.
Yeah. So, and even when they referenced other like characters in other movies that we saw through this, it was nice. So
they also had a couple meta jokes about there was the joke about she has as many kids as the Wayan's mom or something like that. Like, little like meta jokes like that too.
Yeah. So I think this was a great time to see this movie just because we have more of the references now.
Yeah, no.
That's basically
like fun,
it.
easy watch too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So YouTube housekeeping.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Ring the bell for notifications. If you have any movie suggestions for us, you can leave them in the comments down below. We do movies on Tuesdays and Fridays. All of our social medias will be linked in the description box down below. And we'll see you next time to catch up. Bye. didn't know this was a parody movie until I started watching it. Like, I legitimately didn't know. I saw the Wayans brothers were in it, and I was like, oh, are they doing a serious movie? Okay, cool. And I was like, fine, whatever. And then it started off with, like, in the hood, black boys tend to not live past 21. And then the guy gets shot, and I was like, okay. But the thing that cemented me knowing was when the mom was dropping off Ashtray and was like, yeah, you don't get to keep strong women role models in these movies, so I'm about to dip. And I was like, oh, this is a parody movie.
Yeah.